Back in the dead ball era. It was a good time to pitch. Had a low ERA back then, but boy, a few years later, it got pretty ugly.
All right, Cubs are going to make a couple of roster moves. We'll talk about those things later as Adam Warren is back in the big leagues and will make his first start with the Cubs. But let's go back to yesterday, highlights of Game 2 after the Cubs won the opener on Monday afternoon, and another packed house here at Wrigley. Unfortunately, the Reds doing what the Cubs have done most of the year, and that is get an early lead.
Yeah, Billy Hamilton really impacted the game all afternoon long. Here he scores from second base on a wild pitch, a pass ball. John Lackey a little late to cover home plate. John just off his game, had 3 walks in the first inning, gives up the long ball here. Really didn't settle in until late in his outing.
Cubs got a little bit upset with Jerry Meals' strike zone. David Ross thought he had taken ball 4. Joe Madden not happy. He gets his second ejection of the season. Yeah, and it just kind of looked like one of those days. But down 5-0, the Cubs would hit 3 homers in the third to draw within 1.
Yeah, 2 or 3 different times in the middle innings of this game, I thought for sure the Cubs were ultimately going to come back and win because the Reds' bullpen has been so bad. And once they pulled within 1, I thought, well, here they go. They had a couple of opportunities in later innings to cash in some opportunities, didn't take advantage. Addison Russell, though, man, he had a nice day, a 2-home-run game for Russell, the second in his career.
And he would find out after the ball game that he's going to be the starting shortstop for the National League in the All-Star game, and probably the key guy in the entire game was Raisel Iglesias.
Yeah, and he's improved things for that Reds bullpen. We saw him in Cincinnati on the last road trip with a couple of dominant innings. This time he goes 3, really quieted down the Cubs' bats and kind of changed the feel of the ball game for Brian Price over there in the Reds dugout.
The win for Brandon Finnegan. It's the first time a Reds starting pitcher has won this year against the Cubs. The Cubs are 10-2 versus Cincinnati in this season series. Frustrating day, said John Lackey and Joe Madden.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, guys make missed calls, I miss pitches. I mean, nobody's perfect out there, but the problem you run into is when guys are just adamant and won't even admit that they could have missed it. You know what I mean? We're all men out here. At least, I make bad pitches, and sometimes they miss them too.
Well, I mean, it's egregious, and all I wanted him to tell me was that he blew it, and I would have walked away. I mean, anytime an umpire misses a call, it happens to all of us. We all make bad calls, and if you say you did, then you just walk away. That was my argument.
So Joe got to sit in his office and I guess eat some raisin bread during the game. And after the game, good news. Cubs with 7 All-Stars, as we had guessed would happen. You've got 5 starting position players, 2 pitchers as well. John Lester may be the left-handed specialist for the National League.
Yeah, well, it's obviously quite a team they've compiled. It's going to be fun to see all those Cubs playing in San Diego. Second most in franchise history. Every single one of the infielders. That's the first time since the '63 Cardinals, and the first time a team has had 5 starters since the '85 Padres. And they might have one more depending on what Terry Collins does with his starting pitcher.
That was our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. When we come back, we're going to take a look back at a century of National League baseball here at beautiful Wrigley Field. That's next as we get set for the rubber match. Really heating up. It's pretty humid, wind blowing out. Reds and Cubs in the rubber game. So this game harkens back to 1916, as both teams will be wearing uniforms from that era. Not the actual uniforms, they're replicas. They'd be pretty thick wool, wouldn't they, if we went back to 1916?
Kind of a heavy wool, sweat your brains off kind of stuff.
National League in 1916, the Brooklyn Robins, they would later become known as the Dodgers and move to LA, won the pennant, lost the World Series to the Red Sox 4-1. The Cubs that year finished 5th. Cy Williams of the Cubs tied for first in the National League with 12 home runs, and Grover Alexander, he usually finished what he started, 38 complete games. It was a different game back then.
Yeah, pitchers pitched complete games almost all the time. Offense was suppressed. The balls typically stayed in play pretty much all afternoon long, so they were kind of punky. Hitters just tried to slap the ball around the field. The Cubs led Major League Baseball that year with 46 home runs, so it gives you a sense of the way the game was played back in the good old days.
Let's send it over to Wrigley Field public address announcer Andy Bellison.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we celebrate 100 years of Cubs baseball at Wrigley Field, we reflect on the Cubs teams, managers, players, and staff that have called the friendly confines home since 1916. Joining us today are the 3 greatest living Cubs Hall of Famers of all time. He was a Cy Young Award winner in 1971, leading the National League in wins, games started, and innings pitched, and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1991. Please welcome 3-time All-Star number 31, Fergie Jenkins. The 1984 National League MVP, he scored 114 runs and batted .314. He led the National League in runs scored 3 times and was a 9-time Gold Glove Award winner and was elected to the Hall of Fame in 2005. Please welcome second baseman number 23, Ryne Sandberg. The 1961 National League Rookie of the Year. He led the National League in batting average, slugging percentage, and total bases in 1972 and was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1987. Please welcome 6-time All-Star number 26, Billy Williams. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, please rise and kindly remove your caps as this afternoon's colors are presented by the 347th Air Force Recruiting Station. At this time, please remain standing and join Wayne Mesmer as he honors America with our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Ford, inviting you to check out their fuel-efficient lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Transparency. Low fares. Nothing to hide.
April 20th, 1916, the first time the Cubs played a game in this ballpark, then known as Weekman Park. It was 1932, Game 3 of the World Series, a so-called called shot by Babe Ruth.
He's giving them the business in the dugout, isn't he? The Bambino.
Ernie Banks with number 500, May 12th, 1970. One of the of Jack Brickhouse's most famous calls. Move ahead to the mid-1980s, September 8th, 1985. Pete Rose tying the all-time hit record set by Ty Cobb, number 4191. May 6, 1998, Kerry Wood with 20 strikeouts of the Houston Astros. And the Cubs clinching a postseason series at home here at Wrigley Field for the first time, October 13th, 2015 last year against the St. Louis Cardinals of all teams. That was fun.
Yeah, a certain synergy to that. Clinching here against the Cardinals, their chief rival. Great history, and obviously a shrine, this ballpark.
Leads into our Lowe's home field advantage. All-time Wrigley Field Cub leaders: Ryne Sandberg in runs, Ernie Banks hits, Sammy Sosa home runs. That is a pretty good list, isn't it?
Yeah, Charlie Root, I think sometimes gets overlooked a little bit when discussing Cubs history. He's the all-time winner in Cub history, home or road. He's had a heck of a career. Not a Hall of Famer, but a Hall of really good.
Anthony DeSclafani would have been the Reds' opening day starter, but he was on the DL and missed the first couple of months. Adam Warren is back in the big leagues. He'll make his first start as a Chicago Cub. Roster moves made today. Tommy La Stella back off the DL. More on that. We'll have the first pitch and all the action, Reds and Cubs, as we go back to 1916 here at Wrigley Field. Cubs baseball on CSN Chicago is presented by State Farm. Game 3, final game of this series between the Reds and the Cubs. The Cubs have taken 10 of the first 12 so far in the season set. And let's get right into the Cincinnati Reds Southwest starting lineup. Zach Cozart with a couple of homers already in this series will lead it off. Billy Hamilton, a huge factor in the game yesterday. Joey Votto has been getting on base a ton in this series. Adam Duvall is their lone all-star, first-time honor for him. Suarez at third, Phillips at second. Young Jose Peraza is going to play left. Tucker Barnhart, a very good offensive stretch, will catch and hit eighth, and the pitcher DeSclafani batting ninth.
And we'll check now with the Cubs defensively. It's brought to you by Cricket Wireless, and you'll see Wilson Contreras making the start in left, Jason Hayward in center, Chris Bryant in right. Welcome back, Tommy La Stella off the DL. And at third base today, Russell and Zobrist up the middle, Rizzo at first, Miguel Montero behind the plate, and the Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Adam Warren. He's making his first start for the Cubs. His record thus far out of the bullpen, 3-1 with a 4.56 ERA. Made 2 starts to get stretched out down at AAA Iowa. Made 17 starts with the Yankees last year.
Fastball strike to get us started. Sean Barber calling balls and strikes. Ron Kulpa, Chris Conroy, and the crew chief Jerry Meals on the bases. Look out, a late swing. Billy Hamilton had to duck out of the way, and that ball ended up in the stands, and hopefully everybody is all right.
Warren, a 4-pitch mix, fastball, slider, curve, and change. Running a pretty high walk rate this year. Well, the primary reason why he's sporting that 456 earned run average. In his starts last year with the Yankees, he was 6-6, had an ERA of 3.66.
Bounced in front of the plate. Gonna need some bullpen today. John Lackey was not very good, but he was better later, and he was able to get through 6 innings. And that was important, knowing that you've got Warren on the hill today.
And the Cubs scored some runs, got back into that ball game, and that allowed the Cubs to keep John in and not have to pinch hit for him. Warren went 5 last time out.
2-2.
Through 73 pitches, allowed 3 hits, 2 runs. That was against a Round Rock. It's the Rangers AAA club.
So his 173rd major league appearance, his 21st start. And out of play. So the Cubs uniform back in 1916, and replicas were the giveaway today. Kind of an off-white look, black and red piping. I like that that Cub logo. It's pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Got the wishbone C, like the Bears and the Reds.
See, there's nothing cuddly about that bear. He's on the prowl. It's an aggressive, I want to take you out kind of bear.
Commemorative scorecards also handed out today. You can get a look at that. So you've got that sepia tone on the scorecard with current Cubs. Jake Arrieta, he looks as authentic as any of them.
Yeah, well, you could put him in that whole like Civil War uniform, like they do at those when you go on vacation and they have those photo things set up.
Deep left center, and a leadoff homer for Cozart. 3 games, 3 homers in the series. He gave him a battle, and on the 10th pitch, hit it out.
Not the way Adam Warren envisioned this day starting, but got to turn the page. This is a drifting fastball, 94 miles an hour, but you see where it ends up, right over the heart of the plate. And Cozart, who's seen it well and swinging it well, delivers the first run of the ball game.
Just like that. It's 1-0, and Hamilton bounces to Russell. And we'll bring up Joey Votto. So roster moves. Warren recalled from AAA Iowa. Tommy La Stella activated off the 15-day disabled list. He had a strained right hamstring. Corresponding moves, catcher David Ross goes to the 7-day concussion DL. He took a foul off the mask yesterday. Right-hander Joel Peralta has been designated for assignment. Swing and a miss. So with the All-Star break coming up, hopefully David Ross We'll have plenty of time to feel better for the second half. The 0-2 to Votto, and he taps one on the ground to Zobrist, and that's only the second time he has made a quote unproductive out. Sac fly earlier in the series, but 10 plate appearances, 3 hits, 4 walks, and the sac fly.
Initially, I thought Adam Warren was going to make a play on this ball. He lets it go. Zobrist there to make the play. I'm digging these unis. It's a good-looking uniform.
Now All-Star Adam Duvall. Going into this season, he had 55 major league games under his belt. Reds got him in a deal for Mike Leake last year on July 30th. He's put together terrific first full season with the Reds. Swing and a miss.
He was voted in by the players. I don't know that he's more deserving than Jay Bruce. I don't know that Bruce is more deserving than Duvall. Players tend to like the young guys, new guys kind of breaking out.
Or somebody who just does something that they hadn't done before.
Yeah.
Whereas consistency oftentimes, can be overlooked. Now you could make a case.
Duvall's been more of a story this year.
Right, although Jay Bruce, the last couple of years, not quite what he had been previously. Last year, he did hit 26 home runs. Yeah, Bruce with an 861 OPS. Last 2 years combined, 695.
So they opted for Surgent over Resurgent.
There you go.
Showing pretty good giddy up on that fastball. Max out at 95, usually sit comfortably 92, 93. In his career, he's been pretty much equally good against both right and left-handed hitters. That's why a lot of folks envision him as a starter.
Swing and a miss on a 3-2 changeup. Cozart hit the 10th pitch of the ball game out for a home run. It's the Reds 1 and the Cubs coming up. By Binny's Beverage Depot. If Ben Zobrist gets a hit, Binny's will donate $100 to the Greater Chicago Food Depository. Classic shots. Clark and Addison. Kyle Schwarber, he's a throwback. Unfortunately, will miss the rest of the season, and he and former Cub manager Jim Riggleman exchanging the lineup cards today. Cubs Southwest starting lineup starts with Zobrist and Bryant and Rizzo. All three are all-stars. Wilson Contreras in the cleanup spot, and here we go. Zobrist takes a strike from Anthony DeSclafani. Hayward, Russell, Montero, Warren, 6 through 9. DeSclafani Not waiting around.
He is our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher here today. He's made 5 starts since coming off the disabled list. He got hurt on his final outing of spring training, but so far so good. 2-0 with a .178.
And again, he would have taken the ball on opening day had he been healthy. Although I guess a Red fan out there may say, well, Homer Bailey probably would have been had he been healthy. Bailey coming back from Tommy John surgery. There's a strained oblique for DeSclafani as Zobrist lines hard to Brandon Phillips.
An absolute rocket for an out. We'll check with the Reds defensively. Brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Peraza, he's a jack of all trades. He finds himself in left today. Hamilton and Duvall round out the outfield. Third to first will go Suarez, Cozart, Brandon Phillips, and Joey Votto. Tucker Barnhart solid behind the plate. And there's DeSclafani on the mound, 26 years of age, 6'1", $190.
All-star Chris Bryant bounces foul. Second year in the majors, second time he's been an all-star. First Cub third baseman. They go to consecutive all-star games since Ron Santo, 3 straight years, 71 to 73. Current major league leader in homers with 25.
We had that graphic up in pregame with all the records over the years in this ballpark, and you just wonder where this guy's going to end up.
Sclafani tried to catch the corner on a comeback sinker and just missed, according to Sean Barber.
Yeah, he throws both the sinker and a four-seamer. Tends to get hurt on the four-seam fastball. Sinker's been a good weapon for him. Slider has been really good.
Baseman Suarez, not a great throw. Votto, however, bails him out.
And the Reds kicked the ball around a fair bit. Suarez has made a bunch of errors. Brandon Phillips has had a tough year defensively, but now that play by Votto. Sometimes it is good to lay down on the job.
Rizzo, third consecutive year as an all-star. He led the National League in all-star votes. First Cub to do that since Derek Lee in 2005. He's the only Cub first baseman ever to go to 3 consecutive all-star games. And takes ball 1.
Well, good storylines with Rizzo going back to San Diego. Same for Chris Bryant, who played his college ball there.
Two and 0 on him. And the pitch. Line shot out in the right center. It'll be cut off by Duvall. He'll keep Rizzo to a 2-out single.
Relatively small sample because DeSclafani has only made the 5 starts. Came in with 30 and a third innings under his belt, but lefties were hitting .328 against him, and right-handed batters just .186. So you got Zobrist, switch hitter, Rizzo, La Stella, Hayward, Montero, all from the left side today, looking to do damage.
Rookie Wilson Contreras, 18 games, 69 plate appearances into his career, and he's got an OPS of over 1,000. Fouled off.
DeSclafani, a 6th-round pick of the Blue Jays in 2011 out of the University of Florida, originally from New Jersey. Traded to the Marlins November of 2012 in that big 12-player deal. And then from Miami to Cincinnati in 2014 in the Matt Latos deal.
1-2. Contreras couldn't hold up. DeSclafani with his first strikeout, and after an inning, the Reds lead the Cubs 1-0. CIN Chicago is presented by State Farm. So this ballpark opened for the Federal League team back in 1914. I'll give you a little history here in a moment, but the Cubs came here from the West Side grounds in 1916. April 20th was their first game here. 1937, a key year in Wrigley's history. Bleachers and scoreboard were constructed. The original vines for the outfield wall were planted that year as well. 1988, lights installed in August, and the big renovation project beginning 3 years ago here as Adam Warren goes to Eugenio Suarez. Ball one. It's called Weigman Park originally. Charles Weigman, the owner of the Federal League club here. And William Wrigley Jr. was one of the investors that purchased the National League franchise after the Federal League team folded in the fall of 1915. And a family from Cincinnati had owned the Cubs at that time, the Tafts, T-A-F-T.
In relation to President Taft?
No.
Because I believe he's a Cincinnatian, Porcopolitan.
So the Weigman Group bought the Cubs January 20th of 1916. They played at West Side grounds, Polk and Wolcott, for 22 years before that. Had a big parade that day, April 20th.
And then became Wrigley Field in 1926.
20,000 showed up for that first game here.
Cubs won, did they not? 7-6, I
They
believe.
did in extra innings. There was a donkey, a black bear cub, both on the field that day. That one hit a ton to left, but out of play, foul. And just keeping with kind of the Wrigley Field / Weigman Park vibe, game 2 never happened, or at least was postponed because of weather, which is always a factor here. It was too cold for the next game.
Too cold? I thought the fellers back in those days were impervious to that kind of stuff. When men were men and all that kind of good stuff.
Joe Tinker was the Cubs manager that year. He had managed the Whales/Feds. Suarez pops into shallow center field. It is Hayward. Boy, he really battling the sun. And he makes the catch. Tinker, by the way, did appear in 7 games that year and went 1 for 10. So technically a player manager.
Better make sure you got your sunglasses, your eye black, whatever it is you do to battle the elements here today. The wind appears to be blowing more left to right than anything else.
A couple of other 1960 notes courtesy baseballalmanac.com. National League was celebrating its 40th anniversary that year. It had been established in 1876. Bill Fisher, Cubs catcher, set a big league record, caught 27 innings in a doubleheader on June 28. And Charles Wiegman was the first major league owner to officially allow fans to keep balls hit into the stands.
That's why it became the friendly confines. Keep the baseball. So swing and miss there in the changeup, and you'll see that quite frequently with Adam Warren. He gets a lot of chases with that changeup. That's how we got Duvall to end the first.
At the end of the bat, and that little liner will drop in front of Bryant. Phillips is on. And here comes Jose Peraza. Twitter says the Taft connection you made is accurate.
Thank you, Twitter. Now Helen Taft. It's a personality. She made that White House rock.
Goes swing and a miss. The throw is late. Phillips has his 5th steal.
Yeah, it's not a big part of his game anymore, and that might have been a hit and run play. Peraza not able to make contact. It's been a real tough go from Miguel Montero trying to throw out base runners. Not a great lead, not a great jump either. Miggy tries to throw that one from his knees.
Charles Phelps Taft, the older brother of William Howard Taft, one time owned this franchise. One and two. The 22-year-old Peraza. Pitch, fouled it off himself.
Peraza not a power guy, but good contact skills. Solid defender. Reds see him as a utility player and maybe a chance to be an everyday player. Second base perhaps if Brandon Phillips moves along at some point. Just something about when you wear the throwback uniforms when you play in this ballpark. The feel is so different than the other ballparks.
Yep. Here comes Hayward, and he will not be able to make the catch. Able to knock it down. Phillips had to make sure it was a hit, so he could only advance one. And they're at the corners for Tucker Barnhart.
So a couple of base hits in the inning for the Reds, neither one of them all that well struck. Phillips better than Peraza, but it's just a little blooper. Hayward in hot pursuit, realizes he's not going to be able to make the play, and then the priority becomes make sure you knock it down. Phillips probably could have been a little bit more aggressive coming off of second base and might have given Billy Hatcher a chance to send him home.
Barnhart, the 8th batter in the lineup, but he's been one of their hotter hitters. And he takes a pitch in the dirt. 329 over his last 21 games.
When in pursuit of a ground ball, Adam Warren likes the changeup and the curveball.
Goes from first, no throw by Montero. Peraza, number 8, 11 for 11 to start his major league career.
Infield stays back.
1-2. Pitcher on deck, DeSclafani. Bounce foul.
Yeah, we've seen Joe in situations sometimes, and more so when a man on third only, not second and third. Once the count gets to 2 strikes on the hitter, cheat the infield in a little bit, anticipating softer contact with 2 strikes. I think the priority here is with Warren, limited in terms of the pitch count here today. They're just going to make sure they play for an out. Concede a run early in the ball game. Trust that they can come back here, and it appears to be a pretty good hitter's day.
Averaged a little over 5 innings per start so far in the majors, and a big strikeout there for out number 2. And he'll face the pitcher.
Yeah, real good action on that changeup here today. All of a sudden, the odds really tilt in his favor, although DeSclafani can handle the bat a little bit.
.145 in his career. 11 out of 76 with a double. Cut and a miss.
Anthony DeSclafani might be the leader in the clubhouse for the name you'd like to hear Harry pronounce the most currently in Major League Baseball.
That and Archimedes Caminero. But yeah. 0-2.
He just used Jason Hayward's practice swing as his real swing. That funky thing Jason does.
Check swing foul. So Warren is the first pitcher the Cubs have used to start other than the main 5 guys. First 6th starter they've had to use. The Reds have already used 12 starting pitchers.
12 starters and 27 overall, I believe.
It's the Cubs' 84th game of the year.
Yeah, and really the Cubs didn't have to do this. They chose to do this to just buy an extra day of rest for the guys that have been pushing so hard throughout the first half of the season. So it's not like injury or poor performance has forced the Cubs' hand to use another starter. It's just buying some time.
Bounce to third for La Stella to end the inning. 2 hits, 2 steals, 2 left in scoring position. 1-0 Reds early. The August and September push towards the playoffs. Tickets are still available for the second half. Well, don't wait, they're going fast. Visit Cubs.com today. 85 degrees as we got started. We may hit 90 by the afternoon. Wind has died down. Out of the northwest, it's 7 as we started.
Snap it. Good to have Tommy La Stella back. Good to hear a little Frankie Valli in the ballpark. It's always a good thing.
Cubs are going with the full look with the batting helmets, even though they didn't wear helmets in 1916, but I like what they did. The Cubs blue and red look would not really fit this particular uniform, so we might as well go all the way. Matte finish. Pretty sweet. Welcome back, Tommy La Stella from the DL. 6 rehab games with Iowa, hit .286 with a home run. He was battling a sprained right hamstring. And limited time, he's putting up very good numbers here.
Yeah, it just allows Joe to move some other guys around, and tough left-handed bat against right-handed pitching. A guy who gives you a good at bat off the bench against high-velocity guys.
Sclafani with a 1-2. It's high. 2-2. One more after today on this homestand. Tomorrow night, 7:05 makeup game against the Atlanta Braves. We'll finish the first half in Pittsburgh Friday through Sunday.
Pirates are calling up yet another high ceiling prospect, Tyler Glasnow, going to make a start in that series against the Cubs.
Tyone was put on a DL yesterday with what they're calling shoulder fatigue. Glasnow is 6'8", 225. He's a right-handed thrower.
And stuff-wise, I think a little better than Tyone. He's had some command issues. Tyone, man, it's Tommy John cost him the season 2 years ago. Last year it was hernia or something.
Yeah,
sports hernia.
Stella with an air ball into shallow right, and it drops. Duvall kept waiting for Phillips to peel off. He never did. And La Stella has a leadoff single.
You had a feeling this was going to be trouble out there in no man's land between a very deep Adam Duvall and Brandon Phillips. At the end of the day, Duvall with the headlong diving attempt. Jay Bruce probably would have caught it, and he would have made the All-Star team because of it. Could argue that La Stella probably should be on second base, but I'm not sure exactly how that hamstring is feeling. He may have been told not to push it too hard.
Now Hayward, he's hit 6th throughout this series. Sclafani. JD talked about his journey so far. Drafted by the Blue Jays, traded to Miami, traded to the Reds, and to the University of Florida. He's from Howell Township, New Jersey. And attended Colts Neck High School.
Pitched 3 times here at Wrigley Field in his young career. He's 1-0 with a 1.89 ERA. He's been a lot better on the road than at home in his career so far. 5.20 in Cincinnati, 2.85 outside of Great American Ballpark.
So first 2 games of this series for Hayward, 2 hits, 3 walks, and he's ahead in the count again.
He gets middle away and down a little bit. He hammers that pitch to left center.
Deep to right and caught on the warning track by Duvall. Give it a ride.
Down and in a little bit. A little more air under it. Perhaps it flies out of here, but a good swing nonetheless.
I don't know. Did you mention the starters this weekend?
Just got a little low. We got a little deep.
Did you mention Glasnow? He will not start
Oh, he
in
will
that
not.
series.
Okay, I'd read somewhere online that he was expected to start.
I think he's going tomorrow. Chad Kuhl will pitch game 1 on Friday against Jake Arrieta. And Cisco Liriano will go Saturday night. John Neese will be pushed back due to a left knee issue and pitch Sunday. The Cubs will have Lester and Lackey for the final 2 games of the first half.
You think Kuhl has met the ball girl there? Susie Kuhl?
Is hers C-O-O-L?
I think so, yeah.
His is K-U-H-L. All-Star Addison Russell. First Cubs shortstop to start the All-Star game since Don Kessinger, 1972. 22 years old, youngest Cub elected to start, second youngest overall Cub All-Star. Starlin Castro was 21 back in 2011. And Russell in a great stretch the last 3 days, 6 hits, 3 homers, 6 RBIs. His OPS has gone up 45 points. And deep to left, into the corner, fair ball. Estella to third. Gary Jones is trying to hold him, and now he will score. Gary put up the stop sign twice. But the goal sign was what LaStella heeded, and it worked, and we're tied at 1.
I think by the time the stop sign came up, it was a little late, but another great swing of the bat by Addison Russell. After his 2 home runs yesterday, the next at bat, he hit a bullet for an out to left field. And here he goes again into the corner. You see Jonesy sending, and then frantically throwing up that stop sign, saying, boy, I don't want to stress that hamstring of LaStella. But at that point, Tommy had reshifted, and maybe the stop sign came up because Jonesy saw him start to break it down at third base. He was giving Tommy the go, 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 and Tommy started to slow down, and I think that's what led Gary to throw up the stop sign.
So tie ball game. Here's Montero. Russell, the runner at second. And the pitch hit hard on a hop. It gets past Phillips. Cubs will grab the lead. Here comes Russell. 2-1.
Phillips gets caught in between a little bit. Trying to find an easy hop, and there was not one to be had. A little top spin, a little extra juice on it, but that's a play Phillips normally would make.
Calling that a single. And Montero will get the go-ahead RBI. 2-1. Here's Warren. 0 for 5 in his career. He lays down the bunt. And it'll go 3-4. Nice turn of events. The Reds, remember, leading 1-0, had runners at second and third and 1 out in the top of this inning. And Warren got out of it with no damage. And his team has the lead. Ben Zobrist, an all-star for the 3rd time. Every time under Joe Madden. 09 and 13 with Tampa Bay. First Cubs second baseman to make the All-Star team since Ryne Sandberg in 1993. ground to first. Votto just beats Zobrist to the bag, and that will end the inning. Cubs grab the lead. They scored twice. Tommy La Stella running a red light. It worked.
The top of the third. This is your Coors Light game report, and the Cubs giving Adam Warren a little run support in that last inning. Now up 2-1. Warren said he's really taking this opportunity today to put his name at the top of the list if the Cubs do need a starter down the road, guys. He says he's always envisioned himself as a starter, and when he went down to Iowa, the thing he was working on was reincorporating, he said, 4 pitches in his repertoire, something he felt like he'd kind of gotten away a bit as a reliever, and just that rhythm in his delivery. So we're seeing what he was working on there, and he's stretched out and ready to go for the Cubs this afternoon.
Thank you, Kelly, and he's got a 2-1 lead.
And normally that's the case when a guy goes to the bullpen. He'll limit the pitches he uses, at least to a certain extent, and that's been the case with Warren. Not to a great extent, however. He still was using that 4-pitch mix out of the bullpen. Maybe a few more breaking balls, a few more changeups as a starter now.
Cozart gave him a heck of an at-bat to lead off the game. 10 pitches ending in a home run. Ready for a 2-1.
You know, a relief pitcher, and you know, a lot of times relievers brought into a ball game to face same-sided hitters. Now, Warren is good against both right and left because of his mix of pitches, and you see how he's using it here today. Change up, a real good weapon for him, and there's another one. But as a starting pitcher, the opposing manager is going to set his lineup to compete against him. So, you know, most clubs as a starter, he would see a lot of left-handed hitters. That brings the changeup into play a little bit more.
Swing and a miss. This time Warren wins the battle. A strikeout in every inning so far. Warren from New Bern, North Carolina. Pitched to Chapel Hill. 28 years old. He'll turn 29 on August 25th. Came over in the Starlin Castro deal. December 8th.
Exclusively a starting pitcher as he worked his way through the Yankees organization. Steady climb through a couple levels of A-ball, AA and AAA before reaching the big leagues for one start in 2012. And then the following year, he made 2 starts and 32 appearances out of the bullpen. That's where the transformation began.
1-2 on Hamilton. So of the 7 Cubs All-Stars, 2 starting pitchers made it, Jake Arrieta and John Lester. Arrieta, for the first time in his career. The Lester case is pretty interesting. It's the 4th time he's been an All-Star, first time in the National League. 2010, 2011, 2014 with Boston. But as you look at the pitchers list right now for the National League, here's what you notice. Clayton Kershaw is on the list. He's on the DL. Madison Bumgarner is on the list. He is a potential starter. If Bumgarner starts, the only lefty out of the National League bullpen currently would be John Lester. And he could be used totally differently from what he's used to, and that is as somewhat of a specialist.
Yeah, and I guess it will depend on with guys, if guys pitch on Sunday and who they decide to replace.
The other thing is both guys, Arrieta and Lester, should be available to pitch at least an inning, probably no more than an inning.
And the other part of it is too that the relievers that Terry Collins has at his disposal are really good against left-handed hitters as well.
I think it might come down for him, Terry Collins, to talking to the starting pitchers on his roster and their pitching coaches about, are you okay if I use you in the middle of an inning, or do you need to start your routine and kind of come in to begin an inning? Right? So the starting pitcher might, the only chance he might get to pitch in that game is to tell Terry Collins, you can use me for an out. And that may vary depending on who he wants to use.
Yeah, and if you really want to pitch in the game, I think you would have to tell him, man, hey, I'm good, man, however you want to use me. And my assumption would be that most guys would say that.
Ouch. Otto fouled that one off himself. Anecdotally, I feel like we see more of this than ever before. I don't know if it's just pitchers tend to work more down and in now than ever or not. But
yeah,
we see 3 or 4 a game. Maybe that's always been the case.
Yeah, maybe it's a case of hitters trying to let the ball get deep.
We need a stat for that. Average number of foul balls a hitter hits off himself per game.
It could be like the leading talk at the next Sabre convention. Break that down for us.
And on the hands.
Yeah, 94 with conviction inside on Votto. You really got, this guy makes you work so hard. In, out, up, down, change speeds. You fight, and at the end of the day, he's likely to hit a line drive. And kind of like the old Tony Gwynn philosophy that a lot of pitchers used to adopt was like, well, you know what? Maybe I'll just throw one down the middle and just end it early. Hope he hits it at somebody.
Joe Madden paid him a great compliment after the game yesterday. Said he might give you as good an at bat as anybody in baseball today. And he foul tips that time.
And he will look ugly every now and then.
Warren goes 1-2-3 after the Cubs gave him the lead.
Pride with Cubs checking and an official Cubs MasterCard debit card only available at your local Wintrust Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/Cubs to learn more. Member FDIC.
Ball one on Chris Bryant. Cubs batting in the third, leading the Reds 2-1. Games against the Reds coming in. 21 hits, 4 doubles, 9 homers, 21 knocked in.
It's one of those deals where in the pitchers meeting before the games now, so how are we going to get Brian out? And nobody, they just kind of look around at each other. I don't know. You tell me.
Sclafani has retired him twice. You've probably noticed both teams have a similar looking C. It is known as the wishbone C. It has been used quite a bit in sports over the decades. Paul Lucas, who a great uniform expert, wrote a piece for ESPN.com back in 2012 about the wishbone C. The Reds first used it in 1905, and since 1909 it's been a part of their look. The Cubs had it starting in 1916 for about 2 decades. The Indians had it for a long time. The Twins was part of their TC, Twin City logo, and used it. In the NFL, the Bears have had it on their helmets since 1962. The Chicago Cardinals had it on their sleeves in the 20s and 30s. So Lucas tried to figure out who was the first team to wear it. It appears as though the Reds were the first pro team to wear it, but the University of Chicago first used it in 1898. So now you know.
1898, University of Chicago football. How about the little red band around the cap there?
I like that.
Kind of works, right?
Yeah, it does.
Going old school.
Called strike. Hiroshima Toyo Carp use it in Japan.
No names on the back of the jerseys. In 1916 were there numbers on the back of the uniforms?
I'm going to say
I know
no.
the Yankees were the first ones to roll out numbers with Gehrig and Ruth in that bunch. I'm not sure exactly when that started.
They were wearing uniform numbers back then.
And then when the Yankees started that, the uniform number corresponded with where they batted in the lineup.
So Rizzo would have hit 44th. 2-2 is fouled back.
Must have been very set in their ways, right? Throw everybody into a complete tizzy if they decided to change the batting order.
Three and two.
Barnhart tried to tug that one back to the outside corner. Sean Barber wasn't having any of it. Rizzo has worked a deep count here. Boy, hit a rocket for a base hit first time up. Sclafani tries here on 3-2.
Top foul and out of play. Barely tangentially related to all of this conversation. And you know how much I'm in on uniforms and logos and nicknames. Think about the Las Vegas NHL team that will start up in a couple of years. The nickname possibilities. So thinking about this yesterday. 3-2. We got him. 2 down. I guess the company that owns the team is the Black Knight something. So I think that's the leader in the clubhouse, the Black Knights. The Blackjacks, the Cards. I like the 21s. The baseball team is the 51s. The Gamblers.
Skating Showgirls.
How about the Las Vegas Strip? The Rat Pack? Is that trademarked?
The Fighting Newtons.
The Craps? Probably will get a very small chance.
The Las Vegas destitute and downtrodden.
The Hangovers.
No, I like going back to the legitimate conversation piece of this. I do like the Black Knights, and I like the 21s.
One to Contreras. He was late.
But the Bandits playing the one-arm bandit.
Sure. Swinging bunt. Beat it. Base hit.
Well, the Cubs rally in the second started with a leadoff bloop single by La Stella. Here's a little roller that turns into a knock for Contreras with 2 outs. Sometimes that could be the beginning of something big. From the tiny acorn, a mighty oak grows.
Stella, a single and a run in the second. All right, here's my favorite. Matt on Twitter says the Las Vegas Elvis impersonators. The logo could just be hair
or cape.
One ball, one strike. Cubs grab the lead with 2 in the second.
Tommy La Stella's alma mater, Coastal Carolina, the winners of the College World Series. Under the guidance of Gary Gilmore.
Fly to left. Raza will come in. And that'll end the inning. A nickname conversation. For now, 2-1 Cubs. For the 1914 season. A postcard as you look out toward Waveland. Move ahead now to 1929. That's Rogers, Hornsby, and Joe McCarthy.
Raja. Love the glove in the back pocket.
Note the digits on the right hand. It's Mordecai Brown. His 3-finger. And an early undated photo from the air of Wrigley Field. And hey, there's a plane. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's a plane. Strike on All-Star Adam Duvall.
I think if you had asked Joe Madden, Chris Bosio before this game, if you got 5 innings out of Warren today, would you take it? And the answer would be absolutely. There's action in the bullpen now here as he starts the 4th.
Robert Cahill heating up. A little bit off the outside corner. Hayward is in.
The ball is out.
The DraftKings Fantasy Sports Zone, located on the corner of Addison and Sheffield, is your game day headquarters. Open hours before the game. The DraftKings Fantasy Sports Zone has large outdoor space, features live music, and the fully stocked signature Captain Morgan bar. Come out and enjoy this unique experience, plus fans with tickets have direct access to Wrigley Field. For more information, visit DraftKingsWrigley.com.
Giancarlo Stanton, two for 2 today with 2 home runs against the Mets. He's now homered in 4 consecutive at bats. The record is 5, so keep an eye on that. Some runs coming off of Jacob deGrom, who's otherwise been outstanding. Those are the only runs he's allowed. Mets lead the Marlins 4-2. They're in the 8th.
Can the Tigers finally beat the Indians? Well, they're ahead 12-2 in the 9th. Two balls, 2 strikes. Cleveland 11-0 versus Detroit. Swing and a miss, strike 3. 7 straight retired by Warren.
Four-seam fastball up above the belt.
And that game is over. Fulmer is 9-2. He had allowed 1 or 0 runs in 8 straight starts. He gave up 2 today in 6 innings. 1 was earned. Right center, Hayward is over toward the alley, and on the run, he's got it. Back-to-back 1-2-3s for Warren. Cubs lead 2-1 in the 4th. out and enjoy great baseball as CSN hosts a Coors Light viewing party at Anastasia's Restaurant and Sports Lounge in Antioch. Watch Chicago battle Pittsburgh and enjoy ice-cold Coors Light. Great beer equals great responsibility. 2-1 ball game. Rubber match. This 3-game set. Ball 1 on Hayward. He lined to the warning track in right in the 2nd inning. Bouncer towards center. Cozart will pick it up, but that's all he can do. It's a hit for Hayward. Russell, who tied the game with a double in the 2nd and then scored the go-ahead run.
Cubs have won 10 of the 12 games played between these two teams this year. A lot of them have been blowouts, high-scoring affairs. And the 2 that the Reds have won, they've scored a bunch of runs. This is kind of like the most normal-feeling game this year between these two teams. Although it's still pretty early. It could get abnormal in a hurry.
Was Squiggy once on under the shoulder, Vernon Sherwood.
Sure.
So how you doing? He said, "I'm great. I'm abnormal. Absolutely normal." Swing and a miss.
Used to see him in the press box at Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Baseball guy.
David Lander is the actor. Wonderful guy.
Addy, who's been driving the ball, decides to attempt a bunt there. Now he's got to work with 2 strikes. Well, been a lot of noise out there in the blogosphere, and a lot of writers condemning the election of Addison Russell to the All-Star team. Boy, been playing like an all-star lately, that's for sure. And by the time his career is done, he's going to make probably more than a handful of all-star teams.
Swing and a miss, strike 3.
Kind of a tough position to put the kid in, right? It's not like he's not running a campaign or anything.
He's on arguably the most popular team in baseball. The team with the best record.
Yeah, and clearly there are guys having better years, but you know, 11 home runs. Like the counting stats, he's driven in 48, 49, counting his RBI double here today. One of the best defensive shortstops in the league. No need to apologize, Addy. Just go play.
DeSclafani, and they'll go 1-6-3, and that'll end it for the Cubs here in the 4th. But they lead 2-1.
Insider at csnchicago.com, presented by Nationwide's Jeff Vukovich. Serving the community for 38 years. Go to jeffvuk.com. Nationwide is on your side.
The 6th of July. Where would you rather be than Wrigley Field? First place team, Cubs with a 9-game lead over St. Louis. But don't forget about the Pirates. They have won 6 in a row. 9.5 back.
They'll be all geeked up in Pittsburgh for this weekend series upcoming. Or upcoming weekend series if you prefer not to go the Jabba the Hutt route. Hale back up in the bullpen going pitch for pitch here with Warren. Maybe that Joe's allowing him to try to get through 5 here, just one batter at a time.
I want to welcome all our viewers watching on Viola Communications in Viola, Illinois. Also viewers on MLB Network, Rogers Sportsnet in Canada, and the American Forces Network around the world.
Hi, everybody. The town was named after Frankie Viola.
It's foul.
Now the Reds, you mentioned them. First professional team started playing 1869. The very first game, a 45-9 win over the Great Westerns of Cincinnati. They went 57-0 that year, counting only games against association clubs.
Foul through the bullpen.
They were kind of a little different animal back in the day, and they traveled all over the country. Their season ended on November 6th.
Yeah, the Red Stockings would go on to win their first 130 games.
Like the Globetrotters.
Yeah. Back now in for Contreras, but it'll be the shortstop Russell to make the catch. Now Barnhart, who struck out in a big spot, second and third, one out in the second inning.
Yeah, Warren got him with a good changeup. I think that was really the key to Adams' outing here this afternoon, establishing that changeup early. Got early swings and misses, had the Reds hitters off stride, then he's been able to beat them with fastballs here later.
Line shot, caught by Bryant. 2 down. Baseball's 2 biggest summer events, back-to-back, the Home Run Derby on July 11th at 7 p.m. Central. The very next night, don't miss baseball's biggest stars at the 87th All-Star Game, presented by MasterCard, July 12th. Coverage starts at 6:30 Central.
Warren now opposing pitcher away from qualifying for a W.
Two and 0 on the pitcher.
Find it here. The pitch. You get a little nerve-wracking when you start to fall behind the pitcher, and he knows this is his last inning. He knows that if he loses, DeSclafani he might be out of the ball game and lose his chance to win, pick up the W.
The Reds were a part of the first year of the National League, 1876. First version would play through 1880. swing and a miss.
Well done.
Ultimately rejoined the NL in 1890. Spent a decade out of the NL. 2-1 Cubs midway in the fifth.
Man.
Yeah.
On Saturday night, the Fire head north of the border to battle Toronto FC. It's a key Eastern Conference matchup. Coverage begins at 6 on CSN Chicago.
Got keys to the game for the Fire?
I would say ball control. Don't use your hands. And protect your bits on those direct kicks. It's very dangerous.
Well done. Put you on the spot. Here's Matt Caesar batting for Adam Warren, who can get a win today.
Mark up.
Shallow left. Caught by Cozart, who got out there quickly. Boy, Adam Warren pounded the strike zone today. 66 of his 93 pitches were strikes. He didn't walk anybody. One run, the leadoff homer in the first. That was it.
Yeah,
5 innings.
It's a heck of an audition, right? If the time comes where the Cubs need a starter, obviously Cahill's certainly capable of stepping in as well.
Retired 11 in a row to end his start. Strike on Zobrist. Sat out Monday. 0 for 7 since getting back into the lineup. Deep right, way back. It'll go. First hit of the series. It's a home run, and it's 3-1.
Something the Cubs have done quite often against the Reds this year, and hit the long ball. Zobrist hit a bullet his first time up for an out to second base. This time it's a little slider. Inner third and down. Not a horrible pitch, but a pretty swing of the bat as Zobrist gets those hands pulled in and lifts that ball out of here. It's your Ford home run replay. It's number 12 for the All-Star.
It's the 32nd homer for the Cubs against the Reds in 13 games. And 1 to Bryant.
That power triangle working.
Trevor Cahill in the 6th. Then needs to cover the final 4 today. Kind of like a national college basketball writer. Cover the final 4. Left center for Bryant. His first hit today.
Off the end of the bat, maybe a little bit of a bat crackage there. 1 out of 3 for Bryant. Peraza was playing him in Milwaukee. Man, he was really deep. He wasn't going to make a play on this ball anyway.
Here's Rizzo. 1 for 2, singled in the first.
Bryant and Rizzo, or Brizzo as some call them, 3 tandems to hit 20 home runs or more to this point in the season. Mark Trumbo and Chris Davis have done it. And Edwin Encarnacion and Josh Donaldson with the Blue Jays also 20 plus.
Second team ever to have the starting infield for a league in the All-Star game. 63 Cardinals, the other team to do it. It was Bill White at first, Julian Javier at second, Dick Groat at shortstop, and Ken Boyer at third. Last time the Cubs had 5 position players in the All-Star game was 1988. Absolutely crushed, but way foul from Sheffield. Andre Dawson, Sean Dunston, Vance Law, Rafael Palmeiro, and Rhino were all stars in '88. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Those cool jerseys with kind of the old school Padre brown and yellow. And
so is that what they're going to wear?
I don't.
Or is that just a promotional thing, maybe for BP?
I think it is just the promotional thing. Yeah. Because the great thing about the All-Star game is seeing all the different uniforms together, right?
But then for a time they went away from that and they went with kind of a uniform.
The outside corner. I don't know.
There was a time when I'm pretty sure they wore National League and American League specific uniforms.
It's funny because I only catch a few innings usually. People ask me, I'm sure you get the same question, are you going to the All-Star game? It's kind of our one break during the year, so I'll check it out. And obviously this year we have much more reason to watch. All the Cubs participating.
I'm with you. I remember as a kid it was a huge event in the summer. You know, you're kind of that sweet spot when you're 10, 11, 12 years old, really getting into baseball. All-Star game was must see. Guy in my advanced years, there wasn't as much baseball on TV back in the day. So you had the Game of the World, some local broadcasts, and of course the All-Star game was a huge event.
Quick throw, and Bryant found a way back ahead of the quick toss by Barnhart.
The All-Star game with those guys in all the different uniforms, it was like that big pack of cereal you would get. with all the little boxes. And you have your Frosted Flakes and Rice Krispies, and it was like the all-star team of cereal. That's what that reminded me of, all the different colors.
Well put. When I think of the All-Star game, I think of guys wearing white shoes, which they normally can't. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Zobrist with a home run, and it's 3-1 Cubs after 5. At ringside with Cubs manager Joe Madden and Cubs players for the second annual Respect 90 main event at the Wintrust Bank building in Chicago. It'll feature several local youth boxers at various skill levels, as well as a special main event bout. A portion of the proceeds will benefit youth boxing programs in Chicago's underserved communities. To buy tickets or a table, visit Cubs.com/Madden.
Cahill.
Yep.
Go ahead.
I was going to say John Lester has his big event tonight.
Oh, that's right.
He and his wife Farah to benefit the Never Quit campaign by the Pediatric Cancer Research Foundation. As you were saying about Trevor Cahill.
Yeah, Trevor Cahill. Last worked on Friday in that series in New York. He pitched 3 scoreless innings. Lopsided loss, 10-2. The Mets won that ball game, but he was good. 3 innings, 3 hits, no runs. Had a walk and a couple of strikeouts, so he needed a little time off before his next go. Big home run by Zobrist gives him a little breathing room here as he deals with the top of the Reds order.
Hit hard and barely foul.
Been some speculation about the Reds moving Cozart. I mean, he has a lot of value. Teams would certainly want him, but still a pretty young player. He's under control. He's got another year of arbitration, so he's not going to be a free agent for a while. Not making gobs of money.
Swing and a miss.
Good let up there from Cahill. taking a page out of Adam Warren's playbook. Split change action. Those are well out in front.
Keep Hamilton off base. Have so far today. He went, and Jerry Meals thought so too. I think we were both wrong. 1-2. He struck him out. That's 2 outs here in the 6th.
That'd be another study for the SABR convention, Society for American Baseball Research.
Okay.
Is a base umpire more likely to call a swing if he's positioned near the dugout of the pitching team? We could break down the numbers on that.
I had never thought about that particular question until right now. See, Jerry still has that left arm wrapped. He took a fastball directly off the arm. I was talking with David Ross this morning. He said he was trying to frame it and he thought the pitch actually might hit the batter.
Yeah, there was a very small window there. Just missed the batter's jersey, just missed David's mitt, and did not miss Meals' forearm.
What was your over-under on Joey Votto's final?
Well, in Cincinnati last week, I said 270, and then as I watched his approach,
that's going to be low.
Like 290, yeah.
Yeah. Three-one. All 4. Here's that pitch. Oh, man, that's hard to watch. And that was what, 5 seconds after
big
it
old
happened?
Cadbury egg, yeah. Jerry didn't even flinch. Tougher than a $2 steak.
Short lead by Votto. Your spot here, tying run at the plate. And a guy with 22 home runs. Votto, the first Red to reach since Peraza, who singled with 1 out in the 2nd. 0-2. Records 3 strikeouts. They didn't put a ball in play in the 6th. It's the Cubs 3 and the Reds 1.
Cubs in front 3-1 here as we move to the bottom of the 6th. Welcome back to Wrigley Field. This is your Coors Light game report. We've been talking about the Cubs' 7 All-Stars headed to San Diego later this week. Of course, for Addison Russell, it was his first selection, just 22 years old, pretty remarkable. And he was asked whether or not he would still watch the selection show, even though, of course, he knew he was going. And he said, guys, this is something I have dreamt up growing up. I watched the games all the time. And so, yeah, I'm probably going to listen to my name be announced. That'll be pretty cool. And then I'll be calling all my family, FaceTiming with them, and telling them just how excited I am. But he said it certainly is nice to be doing it for the first time with 6 other teammates looking around that infield. Should feel pretty comfortable to him.
Thank you, Kelly. It is 1-2 on La Stella.
By the way, Giancarlo Stanton did not homer in his 5th consecutive at bat. He struck out.
Okay.
Wilmer Flores hit 2 more home runs today.
That guy, he had 6 hits on Sunday against the Cubs. Two slider, and he got 3 straight strikeouts for DeSclafani.
DeSclafani's 6th start of the year. For a long stretch on the DL. As he was working his way back from that strained oblique, he kind of tweaked it again, and that cost him about a month. Working his way back to the big leagues. As the Reds contemplate their future and what their rotation might look like going forward, they got a lot of options, but they have to feel awfully good about DeSclafani. He's got a nice mix with the changeup, slider, heater. Plenty of velocity.
On the outer edge.
Red starting pitchers month by month have posted ERAs of 4.84 in April, 5.45 in May, 5.18 in June, and 7.33 so far here in July. Cubs starters who appeared bulletproof for so much of this season have had their struggles over the last 10 days or 2 weeks.
Deep center. Hamilton runs it down. Some more good swings today for Hayward. He has lined out twice to the warning track. He's 1 for 3.
I just have my pick for favorite Cub in this old-timey uniform. As I saw Jason go back into the dugout getting a pack on the backside from Eric Hinsky.
Yeah.
Ski looks great in that uni.
He does.
Got that big burly body. See him taking a Babe Ruth-like hack. Of course, in 1916, Babe Ruth was still primarily a pitcher with the Red Sox. He led the American League in ERA that year, 1.75.
Two-0 to Russell. 2-1.
throwing 100 pitches. Hot afternoon.
Sclafani trying to hold his team in this game, and he does that with a 1-2-3 sixth. A Hall of Famer will join us when we come back in the 7th. Canada, and Fergie Jenkins is with us. That's a coincidence, but still pretty cool. How are you, Fergie?
I'm doing great. Can't complain.
So July 6th, now when you played, you couldn't really spend a lot of time back home, except maybe when you pitched in Toronto or Montreal. But July 6th, I mean, this is summer in Canada. It's a smaller window in a lot of places there, but get out on the lake or something, right?
Oh yeah, it's warm there, and you know, Canada Day is July the 1st.
Right.
So it was always a big holiday in Ontario. Everybody wanted to go to their cottage or hang around the lake, and that was important.
How often did you pitch at Exhibition Stadium?
Well, it was 8 years in the American League,
right.
So in Toronto was, I don't know, maybe a half a dozen times.
Was that neat? That had to be cool for you.
Oh, and then also Parc Thierry in Montreal.
Yeah.
So it's always good to come back, and I knew a lot of Canadian fans were looking forward to see me pitch.
1 ball, 1 strike on Suarez. Trevor Cahill in his 2nd inning of work. Throwback day to 1916. Line shot the other way. Bryant on the run.
Like a nice break on that ball.
Versatile guy.
Yeah, Bryant's he's playing a lot of positions, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
What, 5 or 6?
Well, he's played both corner spots in the outfield, a little bit in center.
Yeah.
3rd, 1st. He actually played an inning at short. Here's Phillips. So you made your major league debut 1965 with the Phillies. And as we kind of think back to the long history of this game, can you remember any old managers or coaches you had who would have played in, you know, the era we're talking about, the teens, the 20s, 30s?
Not really, no. Gene Mock was kind of the oldest manager. I think DeRocher had to probably play.
Sure. But you had to get the whole speech about guys were tougher back when I played. The speech that every older generation gives the kids, right?
Well, maybe not tougher, but I know that Leo would always mention Babe Ruth, certain guys that he played with or against, and that was important. Gene Mock, similar teammates, but you know, some of the older ballparks were unique. Crosby Field, Forbes Field, Connie Mack. I had a chance to play in the American League in Boston, Fenway Park, and now they're all different now. They've modified them, or they've put new scoreboards, new seating, and that's pretty unique.
We'll get down in right center. Phillips on his way to third. They're at the corners with one out. Do you have a particular favorite National League park that no longer exists?
Well, Connie Mack was my first park, and I won my first ball game, first appearance. Crosley Field was an exception. Very small. You had Vada Pinson, Frank Robinson. You had a lot of older players.
Crosley had the berm too, right?
Berm, yeah, across the outfield. So it was a little different situation, but I mean, some of the older players. Pavletic was a catcher that I didn't like to face. Don Pavletic. I don't know. He picked the ball up extremely easy off me. Vada Pinson, Leo Cardenas, and that was fun pitching to some of the older players. Because I was a rookie, 21, 22 years old.
But do you remember, so when you first broke in, that first, confrontation with a Hall of Fame type player where you go, wow, this is, do you remember who that guy was? Was there?
Dick Groat was my first hitter. Hard fastball in. He stared at me. He fouled a couple off, and I struck him out.
Nice.
So,
you thought, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, right. Well, you're 21 years old. You're kind of saying to yourself, I've earned my way to get there, but you got to tell people that you can get people out. So you have to show your teammates and your manager you can do the job.
Hill needs a ground ball. Peraza takes off. He's going to get second without a throw. It's his second steal, so no more ground ball double play chance here.
Yeah, with Cahill being a ground ball pitcher, Brian Price not going to waste any time. Going to go ahead and take that bag, and just a nice play by Montero just to catch that ball.
DeSclafani is on deck, but they do have action in their bullpen. Seems a curveball.
They're trying to throw a little backdoor curveball, and he just pulled it, and Montero able to backhand it and prevent that run from scoring for now.
There's the 1-0. One ball and one strike. Any clubhouses back then like the new one here at Wrigley, huh?
No, I walked through it today briefly.
Isn't it something else?
I've been there twice now. It's quite a facility. I mean, 30,000 square feet. We had our little clubhouse down the left field line for the ground crews now. We had 3 walls, and Rhino today mentioned it. We had 6 showers, but only 2 worked. After ball games, you had to stand in line to take a shower.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, a little different.
2-1. Swing and a miss.
Changeup has been the pitcher choice today.
Barnhart's going to take a walk. He was in a similar spot in the second and third, one out, and he fanned against Warren.
3 strikeouts in the last inning, all on the changeup, and there's a dandy there.
Foul. Let's go back to the 6th. Cahill faced 4. He walked 1, struck out 3. We mentioned the changeup.
Yeah, Cozart, Hamilton, Duvall all go down swinging, and all 3 on changeups. You see it there in each of those panels. The changeup grip from Cahill. So, and just perfect execution as he throws the ball on the plate, starting at the knees, then diving down below. Leaning heavily on that change.
In the air, left center and deep, and gone. And the Reds have the lead. Tucker Barnhart with a 3-run homer.
Well, probably figured that he had him slowed down after the changeups. Tried to beat him with the heater, and Barnhart kind of wise to it. 2-seamer with some run, not a whole lot of sinking action. What a huge swing of the bat for Barnhart.
Ford home run replay. Well, I said it early, JD. He's hitting 8th in their lineup. And he's probably hitting like a middle of the order guy these days. So I think we'll get a pinch hitter here. Tyler Holt will take the at bat as DeSclafani can now get a win. Fergie, there's been talk about pitchers possibly participating in the home run derby. It will not happen this year. You would have been a great candidate for that back in your day.
I heard about that. You know, it's something to get out there and be able to hit the ball and hit it out of the park. And there's a few guys that are doing it now in Major League Baseball, but I don't know if we'd have had guys that want to do it. Gibson might want to have done it. Myself, maybe Drysdale. So there were Earl. You know, Don Wilson was a pretty good hitter. Earl Wilson. It was a subject that might have been brought up, but you know, home run derby wasn't anything during the All-Star break. We didn't have any specialty things. You just played the game and went home.
How many innings did you pitch in an All-Star game? Would you pitch 3 typically?
I pitched 3 a couple of times.
Yeah.
In Anaheim, and the other one in I think was in Atlanta, and to 2 batters I think in Detroit. Gave up the home run to Killebrew.
Is that right?
Yes. That was the year that it was like 6 or 7 home runs hit. I think Reggie hit the first one.
Reggie hit up on the light tower.
Hit the first one off Doc Ellis, but the furthest one was Clementi's, straight away center field. I gave it the home run to the left. Killebrew hit it off me in Detroit, the old stadium, Tiger Stadium.
Well, the All-Star game then had a very different feel. As JD said, there was not nearly as much television, so you had a game of the week kind of feel for all the nationally televised games. It has been lost a little bit now. But you never saw the American League guys because there was no interleague play.
Right.
Younger baseball fans don't even remember that.
Right, and then the biggest thing is we didn't have a skill situation, and also the home run derby, which kind of gave the crowd an opportunity to come to the ballpark 3 times.
Right.
And you had the futures game. That was kind of unheard of. You know, you didn't bring, if you wanted to bring up somebody from AAA, they sat on the bench, maybe watched the game, but didn't have a futures game. So it's kind of an exhibition to see these young men might be in the league in a year or so.
Cubs actually have a guy on their bench today, Jamer Candelario, who was named to the world roster in the futures game, and he will only participate on Sunday if he's not with the big league club, which he very well may be. I'm guessing Jamer is rooting for being with the Cubs in Pittsburgh. There he is. 2-1 on Cozart. Tucker Barnhart with a go-ahead 3-run homer. So Cubs will have to come from behind here late to take this series. That first start for you as an American League pitcher had to be weird, not being able to hit for yourself.
Yeah, my first start was against Oakland. Just a 1-hitter in Texas.
Well, it wasn't that weird then.
No, it wasn't. No.
He made the adjustment
yeah,
quickly.
right. Yeah, quick. Yeah, because I knew a lot of the hitters because Oakland was in Mesa and we're in Scottsdale, so I knew all the hitters. Bando, Jackson, a lot of the guys, Green. So there wasn't any strange thing to pitch against Oakland. My first game.
Big series for Cozart. 2 more hits today. Bring up Billy Hamilton.
A tough no decision for Adam Warren here today, but you know, anytime it was just the nature of his season, working out of the bullpen and just getting stretched out. You know, you figure 5 innings was probably going to be the max for him today. Anytime you pitch 5 innings and leave in a tight ball game, you don't really expect to win that game. You certainly hope to win it, but you don't expect to win it. Too many innings for the bullpen to cover.
I think what's going to happen for the Cubs is they're going to probably look seriously at a bullpen pitcher, somebody as a stopper, and that could be that particular person the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think when you look at trade deadline season, if the Cubs make moves, it'll be for pitching. They have Joe Nathan, former All-Star, who could be ready here within the next few weeks. He's pitching in the minor league system. Clayton Richard struggled early. He's on the disabled list. You can never have enough pitching. That is an adage that always applies.
Well, during my career, we only had 9 pitchers on the staff. 4 as the starters and 5 in the bullpen. And now they have 12 or 13 pitchers. So
we've had 13 for most of the year.
So the manager can pick and choose certain people to get certain hitters out. I mean, it's selection for the manager make that right decision at the right time.
There's a 1-1. It's outside. 2 balls and a strike. Warren trying to get out of this 7th inning. He's given up 4 hits here in the 7th. Swing and the miss. And safe at second is Cozart. 2-2 the count on Hamilton.
Yeah, you got to hold him close. I mean, he had a run-in lead.
4 steals for the Reds today. Two. Try it again. Reds will go into their bullpen in the bottom of this inning. Sclafani went 6, gave up 8 hits and 3 runs. Called strike 3. Time for the stretch. Brought to you by Mazda. Here's Fergie.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Let's go. Cubs Hall of Famer Fergie Jenkins.
A 1, a 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for it. Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. All right, we're getting tired of plugging up, get away, let's go, come on. We're gonna have here.
Suite at Wrigley Field. The new Veen Suites can accommodate anywhere from 15 to 55 and include food, all you can drink beverages, and parking. To book your premier experience at the ballpark, visit Cubs.com/premier. Work to be done, and Cubs will go to work against right-hander Michael Lorenzen. He's pitched 4 times to a 4.05 ERA. 2 has been nicked up a little bit this year. 24 years of age. Hey, 21 starts for the big club last year.
Montero takes ball one, 97 on the gun.
Yeah, he's pretty firm. Good heater, slider. He'll cut his fastball. Curveball. Pretty good run on that two-seamer.
Candelario on deck. Ball three.
Didn't have to be, did it? The attributes of a good big league fastball: velocity, movement, and location. Lorenzen certainly has the first two.
Oh, he caught it. He just robbed Montero. A leadoff single. Maybe the ball caught him.
Yeah, Montero did everything right. Worked himself into a good count, put a good swing on it, hit a bullet. Lorenzen right there to make the play.
It was a great athletic play. The ball did not catch him. He went up to get it. Here's a switch hitting Jeimer Candelario. Follow in-game live on the CSNChicago.com. Presented by State Farm. One ball, no strikes. One and one. 10 plate appearances at this level. 1 for 7, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. This is his 4th appearance since joining the roster on Sunday in New York.
Started the year at Double-A. Didn't really do a whole lot with the bat there, but called up to Triple-A and did quite well.
Well positioned, Zach Cozart.
Two pretty good swings off Lorenzen here with nothing to show for it. Me out a good one, Bobby.
The last one he used worked well. Home run to right in the 5th. Lorenzen into his motion, missed again. Three and one.
Easy gas there. Knee high at 96. Chris, I hit a home run every day against the Reds, is on deck.
picked up third base side. No play for Suarez. Ball behind the dugout.
Suarez, the third baseman, playing way off the line. They play Zobrist is a left-handed hitter here to pull on the infield. Very deep in right field is Duvall.
Ball four. So Zobrist extends the inning for Bryant. Decent lead by Zobrist, and now Lorenzen will step off. Cubs trail for the second time today. Reds had a 1-0 lead early, and now lead 4-3. So Mark Trumbo has connected. Orioles are in Los Angeles at Dodger Stadium, leading 3-2 in the fourth. He has tied Bryant. 2-0. Reds bullpen is quiet. Carl Edwards Jr. appears to be ready in the Cubs bullpen for the eighth.
Big pitch coming. Remember, Barnhart wanted to throw. Lorenzen wasn't on board, so they're going to talk it over. Discretion, the better part of valor, was already man on base and Anthony Rizzo on deck. Pitch for a lot of guys, but Bryant not biting.
No question he'll have a green light. Here's a 3-1. Opened up the throttle, and he missed. 3-2.
Good pitcher. A lot of guys try to ride that fastball up and in on the hands of Bryant. We've seen him do some damage up there. That one was kind of what we saw from Familia in New York. A power sinker down and in.
41-262, and they're up and
no!
3 to end the inning.
Oh, man. Wow, and Barber has been mostly good today, but that's a bad call.
Still 4-3. The Cubs suggest taking public transportation. The Cubs do offer a free bike check, now located near the Addison Red Line Station. For drivers, the Cubs provide free remote parking and shuttle service on night and weekend games. For information, visit the A to Z guide on Cubs.com.
Here comes a lanky right-hander, Carl Edwards Jr. on for the 7th time. He's been very impressive so far.
Trying to keep the Reds right at 4.
Fastball ranging 94 to 97. Over the top, sharp down-breaking curveball.
Fouled off by Votto.
It's a lot of backspin on that four-seamer. You see that pitch almost like hydroplaning as it gets into the hitting zone.
Votto has batted second a fair amount here these last couple of years. You could make a case for him as your leadoff guy just because he gets on so often. Three and one. Three and two.
Strange outing for Trevor Cahill today. Struck out 5 in 2 innings of work. Gave up the 3-run home run to Barnhart. Now he's on the wrong side of the ledger here.
Contreras coming in. Russell going out. Duvall 0 for 3.
Two, 3, 4, 5 in the Reds batting order today. 0 for the day. Votto walk in the 6th, the only reach.
Cubs will have Rizzo, Contreras, and LaStella in the bottom of the 8th. He walked him. First time Duvall has been on. Now Suarez.
Phillies and Braves are final 4-3. The Phillies win. Been playing better ball of late. They've won 4 in a row now.
Braves will come in tomorrow night 28 and 57. They lost 4 straight.
I was assuming they had a night game today, since we're playing the night game tomorrow on getaway day.
Jason Hamill for the Cubs. Lucas Harrell for the Braves. 7:05 first pitch. Swing and a miss. 0-2. Cubs also today announced a time change. And it is a CSN Chicago game on Tuesday, July 19th. As the Cubs host the Mets. That'll start at 6:05 p.m. Central instead of 7:05. Get here an hour earlier. Ball at first, one out, a 1-2 count on Suarez. If you just turn on your TV or your iPad and you're going, what's going on with these uniforms? These are 1916 throwbacks. As the Cubs moved into this ballpark April 20th, 1916. Celebrating the 100th anniversary of that. Year 2016. The ball took off for second as that ball was fouled.
I was looking at one of those timelines, you know, 1916, Woodrow Wilson was president of the United States. There was one event that really caught my eye.
Two and two. Yep.
Yeah, somewhere you know, you go through month by month, and I can't remember what month it was, but it says Mary the elephant killed her handler in some kind of an accident and was hanged. They hung an elephant in 1916.
Really?
Bizarre.
Yeah. Runner goes. 2-2 is hit in the air the other way. And Hayward made the catch as Bryant lost it in the sun.
Well, a great play by Hayward coming to the rescue there. All hands on deck today on a ball like that. Everybody pursuing, and Bryant just couldn't find it. Hayward never quit on the play. He sees his teammate in trouble, and at the last able to make the play.
Could loom very large. Phillips is 2 for 3 with a run. Edwards almost threw that one away. You have any more pleasant stories to end on from 1916? That was a downer.
Rachel Dratch. I thought, well, what struck me, two things. One, don't kill the elephant. It wasn't Mary's fault. And then, if you're going to hanging an elephant.
Oh, 2. How about June 15th of that year? President Wilson signed a bill incorporating the Boy Scouts of America.
There we go.
Diving attempt deflected into center by Russell. Phillips has his third hit today. Will keep the inning alive for Peraza.
Phillips has not done a lot of damage against the Cubs this year. He hasn't done a lot of damage against anybody. This time it's all about the hands.
is behind the batter, and the Reds will add on 5-3 in a wild pitch.
Yeah, that's wilder than wild. 86 miles an hour. I'm not sure what was going on there. I don't know if maybe he caught a cleat or something, or I think Joe's wondering if he's hurt.
So heading out with Joe is Cubs assistant athletic trainer Ed Halber, who's an all-star. He has been invited to San Diego. He'll be one of the National League athletic trainers. Congrats to Ed.
I guess it makes sense if half the team is comprised of Cubs that they take their trainer along. I'm not sure what. Yeah, a little awkward finish there.
Yes, he
front side, his
slipped.
front foot slipped on him.
Declares he's okay. Runner at second now to run in. Phillips is that runner at the bottom of your screen. The pitch. Here comes Hayward, and that will end the inning. But the Reds add a key insurance run, now lead 5-3 in the 8th. Cubs will start their final series of the first half against the Pittsburgh Pirates. It all starts at 6 p.m. Central, right here on CSN Chicago. Michael Lorenzen, his second inning of work. It was Raisel Iglesias who gave the Reds 3 in the setup role yesterday. It's Lorenzen today. Cover multiple innings ahead of Tony Cindrani.
Yeah, I don't think the Reds have a real formula right now with their bullpen. They have struggled so much this year. Getting some people healthy and back into the mix.
2-1 to Rizzo.
Brian Price, instead of saying, well, here's my 7th inning, here's my 8th inning, it's just like, well, if this guy's going good, his spot hasn't come up in the order, I'm going to run him back out there.
Full count, 3-2. Leadoff walk.
We talked about Votto earlier, capable of filling that role. You'd like to have Rizzo. I mean, obviously, I have him up there with man on base when you're down a couple of runs, but when you're trying to get something going, he's a great option because of that patient approach. Field knocked between a couple of strikeouts for Contreras today.
Ball strike. Not much of a lead at first by Rizzo, and that one almost hit Contreras. 1-1.
Hit a couple times here lately. Syndergaard got him with a heater in New York. Got hit in the ankle. Was it yesterday? Day before, maybe?
We'll say recently.
Recently.
In the middle of a stretch of 24 in a row, they tend to blend together a little bit. Rondon and Grimm. The Cubs pen. Swing and a miss. It was so bad it was good. Never intentionally elevate an off-speed pitch like that.
Throw a breaking ball down and away, and it's up above the belt. And you see Contreras with that 2-strike approach. He kind of got into a little bit more of a squat position. He saw that ball open his eyes, and he couldn't resist.
Stella just off the DL. One for 3 with a run. Ground ball right to Votto. He'll step on the bag, throw to his second. Cozart applies the tag, and the inning comes to a very quick end. Leadoff walk, no runs. We go to the 9th. It's still 5-3 Cincinnati.
ticket holder waiting list? Do it today. Claim your spot in our lineup for season tickets. It's easy and free to register. For details, visit Cubs.com/waiting list. Javi Baez has entered the game at third base. On the mound, it's Justin Grimm. He'll work for the 38th time, but the first time in a while. Last pitched in the series at Cincinnati. Back-to-back days, the 28th and 29th of June. It's been a tough go for Justin. Joe trying to take him out of the heat for a little while.
Barnhart with the big blast. Moore hit 3-run homer in the 7th. Here it is. Swing and a miss. Well, has Brian Price found a new paradigm in the bullpen? You get 3 innings today. You get 2 innings tomorrow. This is kind of the anti-specialization maneuver,
yeah.
but it has worked.
Yeah, that's the way they have struggled. You can understand his thinking. Like, if I got a guy out there and I like the way the ball's coming out of his hand and he's pitching with confidence, getting results, I'm gonna lean on him. Grimm, as I mentioned, backed off here lately. His usage by Joe Madden. From the 17th to the 29th of June, he worked 8 different ball games.
Ground ball to Zobrist. Grass. A bobble by Rizzo, but the out already recorded.
Sometimes you take a guy out of his normal role, you back him off a little bit, gets a little physical break for sure, and also a little bit of an opportunity to recharge mentally.
Jay Bruce off the bench. Pinch hit at bat for the pitcher Lorenzen. I mean, I guess you just look at a kind of a generic bullpen, and you had 3 guys you trusted the most, maybe like a Kansas City Royals at their best. Could you make a case for kind of rotating 3 guys and have them cover multiple innings with off days in between?
Yeah, I think it'd be worth experimenting with.
You pitch 2 innings today, you get a day or 2 off. Instead of using 4 or 5 guys to get through 9 innings, you try to go 2 or 3.
Which is kind of the old school.
Yep.
You know, talking a lot about Goose Gossage and those guys back in the day. They'd come out and give you 2 or 3 innings at a time, finish a ball game.
Well, and that's where, like in Iglesias or Lorenzen, the former starter, if part of the idea is we want to get these guys as many innings as we can because we like their stuff, you make them a multiple inning setup reliever. Maybe you can get 110, 120 innings as opposed to typical 60 to 80 for a setup guy or a closer.
Yeah, so you're getting quality work, and you're also playing the development game, which normally you prefer not to do at the major league level, but when you're in the situation that the Reds are in, it makes a little more sense.
I think the biggest thing with pitching, and the reason changes are kind of made glacially, is that it takes a while for guys to get used to certain roles, and when you introduce something to the mix that is kind of foreign to what they're used to, that can be perilous. You never want to risk an injury. And so that's why teams tend to be pretty conservative that way. As Bruce takes the walk. You know, reading Jeff Passan's book, The Arm, and it's a fascinating read on a lot of levels, but just how many smart people are in this game, and we still haven't wrapped our arms around the science. And I don't know if we ever will, of how to protect the arm. Still taking kind of just somewhat educated guesses.
Yeah, so you're trying to protect arms at the same time maximizing value, because you know, if you shut guys down, if you limit pitch counts and innings, you miss out on the next great pitcher of the generation who's capable of completing a lot of games and being that horse. You probably do, but you play the risk-reward game. It probably makes sense to do that. Keep as many arms healthy as possible.
1-1 to Cozart. Reds have had 2 leads today, both coming on home runs. Biggest, the Barnhart 3-run shot in the 7th. Bruce runs. Cozart, deep center. And caught by Hayward.
Sounded big, didn't it?
It did. Well, this one was big, and it got out to lead off the ball game. 10th pitch of the at-bat against Warren. And that is our Xfinity high-speed action. Well, we had Fergie in the booth today. Fergie, you know, he was over 300 innings as a starter. And I think to frame the conversation sometimes with the old versus the new, we tend to forget the guys who blew out and didn't have surgery like we do today to keep their careers going.
They just went away.
They just went away, and we never talk about them. I think you can make a case that the Fergie Jenkins, the Tom Seavers, the Roger Clemens, Don Drysdales, the Bob Gibsons, whatever group of people you want to say, that they probably are just freaks of nature. Greg Maddux.
Well, and I think there are guys pitching today that could be those guys if teams turn them loose.
Yes.
But again, with a certain amount of risk.
Bruce goes again. And he is out at second. And hang on, we've got to make sure Brian Price doesn't ask for a review. And here in the 9th inning, he might as well.
Yeah, might as well. And unless they see clearly that he was out. Bruce thought he was safe. He came up with a safe sign. Let's see. Oof.
Out. Or close.
Or safe.
Brian Price is asking for a replay review. It is our Forsythe Technology replay review.
Chance for all the players to gather and stare out at the video board and watch the replay. Billy Hatcher and Anthony Rizzo catching up.
See Bruce and Bryant, and they both kind of went, I don't know.
Tag is applied to the back of the foot there, and the question is, did the front of the foot get the base first? I don't know if they're going to have enough to overturn.
Every look, though, since to me looks like he got his toe in, but as you say,
if that front foot goes directly to the base, he's probably easily safe. And poor Miggy, who's had a real tough time this year throwing people out, got off a nice throw there. According to the Cubs press notes here, Montero has caught 1 out of 36.
Well, that is so tight. And he held that right foot on the bag throughout. So there's no real question of whether he came off the bag. It's just who got there first, the glove or the foot to the base. This might take a while.
It'll take many looks. Dodgers Orioles tied at 4, top of the 6th in LA. Bud Norris making his second start for the Dodgers, and he's out.
So we go to the bottom of the 9th. Cubs trail by 2. For a hefty home run. This one lined out of here by Ben Zobrist. Gave the Cubs at the time a 3-1 lead in the 5th inning. And for the All-Star, he's got 12 on the year.
Part of this tough stretch the Cubs have gone through, they've had some mid-game leads and they slip away like they have seen here today. So they've got to come back against the lefty Tony Cingrani. He's a 1-2. He's saved 9 ball games at 14 tries, a 3.29 ERA. Could be a little, excuse me, a little erratic with the command. You see 21 walks in 38 innings. He gets a lot of swings and misses with an elevated fastball. Go mid-90s with that pitch. So throws the slider. Scoreless inning in the ball game yesterday for Cingrani.
One on Hayward. Popped up. Cozart in the outfield grass. 2 hands on it. One away. Here's Russell. Decision on the replay review to end the top of the 9th call stands. They just could not definitively determine. Bruce got in ahead of the tag by Addison Russell. Swing and a miss, strike 3. A lot of closers, they have a lot of routines in between pitches and often take a lot of time. Cingrani, he doesn't. He gets it. He's ready to go. Here's Albert Almora Jr.
And I don't know if that's always been the case with Cingrani. I seem to remember him when he first came up as a starter that he worked pretty slowly. Watching that low three-quarters delivery, works under the ball. Some might say he pushes the ball. A little Sid Fernandez-like. Adds to the deception.
He looks pretty natural in this throwback uniform with the beard.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Got to get on base here. Put the tying run at the plate. Baez is on deck. 2-1. Swept the Reds in the first home series of the season in April.
Ronnie just got squeezed.
Bound back. They won 3 out of 4 in Cincinnati in late April. That included the Jake Arrieta no-hitter. Cubs swept last week in Cincy. You had the Chris Bryant game. You had the 3 pitchers in left. 15-inning game. Ground ball to third. And for the first time this season, the Reds win a series against the Chicago Cubs. Final score, the Reds 5 and the Cubs 3. Well, this one stings. You got a 3-1 lead in the late innings, and the Cubs bullpen could not hold it.
Yeah, when you weren't sure what you're going to get from Adam Warren today making this spot start, he was outstanding. And the bullpen let it get away, and ironically, the Reds bullpen really up to the challenge here the last couple of days.
That leads us into the toast of the game presented by Binny's Beverage Depot. And really, yeah, these last 2 days, Reds bullpen, 7 combined innings and shutting down the Cubs offense.
Iglesias yesterday outstanding. Here today it was Lorenzen, and then passing the baton on to Cingrani, who picked up the save. DeSclafani, the starter, solid as well.
Binny's Beverage Depot is the official champagne provider of the Chicago Cubs. We're back with you here on CSN. 6 o'clock Central on Friday as the Cubs begin their final series before the break in Pittsburgh. More to come. Blue Cross Blue Shield post-game live right around the corner. Once again, your final score, the Reds 5 and the Cubs 3. Stay with us, everybody.